Another case filed in the High Courts of Guyana as the country awaits election results.
Suriname gets new president.
And Trinidad and Tobago heads to the polls in August. These and other stories are in this episode of the CARICOM NewsTime. I'm Tusanki English Francis.
And I am Michelle Nurse with the details. Thank you for joining us.
Last week, Guyana's acting Chief Justice, Roxanne George Wiltshire, adjudicated the latest case involving Guyana's March 2nd general and regional election. Justice George says the 28-point affidavit of the case of Messenger Jones versus the Guyana Elections Commission summarily sought to determine whether the recount order number 60, is valid and can be used as the legal basis to declare the results of the general and regional elections based on the national recount.
The CCJ also stated in paragraph 41 that any allegations as alluded to by the CEO can be addressed by way of election petition. If it is the considered opinion of the CEO that in the face of Order 60, he can produce a report based on the Section 84 declarations, then one would expect that he must be guided accordingly by GCOM. This, the evidence discloses, the chairperson has sought to do by the letters transmitted to the CEO. Thus, as determined by the CCJ, unless overturned by a court in an election petition, the only data that could be used for the declaration of the results of the elections would have to be the 10 declarations cannot be resurrected at this point in time. In this regard, there can no longer be an impasse between the chairperson and the CEO as to the effect of Article 177 2B and Section 96. For the avoidance of doubt, as stated in Section 18, the CEO is subject to the direction and control of the Commission. In this regard, I refer to paragraph 14 of the CCJ judgment, where it is noted that by Section 18, the CEO is, quote, mandated to be subject to the direction and control of the Commission.
The case heralds the first time the Supreme Court used digital technology as it institutes measures to combat the spread of the novel coronavirus. Justice George Wiltshire lauded her information technology team for working with alacrity to get all systems in place for the hearing of the case via a fully digital platform. There is a new president of the Republic of Suriname. His Excellency Chandrika Prasad Santokhi was elected as president of the Dutch-speaking CARICOM member state on Monday, the 13th of July, replacing former President Desi Bouterse. Head of the General Liberation and Development Party, Ronnie Brunswick, was also elected vice president on the 13th of July during the first sitting of the newly constituted National Assembly in Suriname. Political parties in Trinidad and Tobago are in full campaign mode ahead of elections in August. During the 35th sitting of the National Assembly on July 3rd, Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. the Honorable Keith Rowley, announced that general elections will be on the 10th of August. Prime Minister Rowley says he will invite CARICOM and the Commonwealth to monitor the elections.
The government of Guyana says it regrets the decision by the United States of America to impose visa restrictions on persons deemed to be undermining democracy in Guyana. On Wednesday, the 15th of July, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo announced the U.S. visa restriction decision. In a statement following the announcement, the government of Guyana says the matter affecting the outcome of Guyana's elections is still before the courts, which is entirely the responsibility of the judiciary, and no final declaration has been made. The statement reads, "The executive branch has not participated in the undermining of the electoral process and urges all countries interested in Guyana's development to await the logical conclusion of the process, which is being managed by the Elections Commission, in accordance with the Constitution of Guyana. The statement adds that the government has not interfered in the functioning of the Guyana Elections Commission. Prime Minister of Barbados, the Honorable Mia Mottley, is renewing a call for reparatory justice as the region grapples with the economic fallout from the COVID-19 pandemic. Addressing a recent virtual media engagement organized by the CARICOM Reparations Commission, Prime Minister Mottley presented the idea of a Caribbean Marshall Plan for reparations to address the economic decline that the region will face as it confronts the pandemic, as well as the inherent social and economic inequalities that she says continue to hinder the region's development.
That governments can make the difference through the power of the pen and through the power of legislation with what we put before our people to be able to carry us to the next level. The problem is that as we do it, we are not finding a hospitable policy environment to allow us to be able to move to the next level and to be able to guarantee that education should not be an issue from pre-primary to tertiary. But if a country has limited fiscal space, it will always be. And therefore, what is the development compact? What is the case for reparations that this region needs at this point in time to be able to allow us to move to the next level with respect to the compact we must have within the Caribbean community for our people with respect to education, healthcare, access to capital, and indeed land and housing. Now, I believe that some of these things are within our deliberate reach to be able to make a difference. But ultimately, the scale that will lead to transformation depends on an international compact for the Caribbean. COVID-19 has come, and COVID-19 has already led, in many instances, to a doubling of expenditure, in some instances in health and for social care support, a quadrupling, because all of a sudden you go from tourism sectors that are earning to tourism sectors with zero revenue and with, therefore, the lack of capacity to employ anyone. We have, therefore, my friends, to recognize that what this Caribbean region will go through over the course of this pandemic threatens to undermine the viability of our states for the medium term. Why? Because if we have to borrow money now to stabilize our condition, when the pandemic goes, you are already hearing that the region is already highly indebted. And therefore, any additional borrowing that comes is going to preclude our ability to remain focused on development post-pandemic.
Jamaica's Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sports, the Honorable Olivia Grange, told the participants at the event that the government of Jamaica continues to lobby for reparatory justice.
This is the essence of reparatory justice. It calls for a recognition that Britain actively participated in crimes against humanity through its systemized enslavement of Africans and concomitant depletion of the African continent of leaders, skilled persons, and children. The government of Jamaica, as part of the CARICOM Reparations Commission, continues to lobby for reparatory justice and will strengthen our collaboration with our Caribbean neighbors who have now also established in their respective countries a National Council on Reparations. Jamaica's National Council on Reparation has the primary role of advising the government of Jamaica on the legal and political route to reparatory justice, consistent with the role of the CARICOM Reparations Commission, which has as its primary mandate to establish the moral, ethical, and legal case for the payment of reparations by the governments of all the former colonial powers and the relevant institutions of those countries.
The details of these and other stories are in the CARICOM news site at today.caricom.org. You can also visit the CARICOM website at caricom.org to follow the developments taking place within the Secretariat and the wider Caribbean community.
Like our Facebook page, follow us on Twitter, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. See you next time.